Hi, my name's John Biddle.
And my name is Sam Biddle.
And welcome to our podcast.
I hate this book.
Where I read my second book, Hypnos, to...
Me. His wife.
Yeah, and she likes this one at the moment. Do you like this one?
No.
No. Why? What's wrong with it?
First chapter was that... you just made me laugh with Youngie.
Jongi, yeah.
Youngie. And then, but he was a bit cruel. And then the second chapter was Alex and the therapist, which was just a little bit weird. So this is chapter 3, all right?
Why was it weird?
I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Too close?
Maybe. I just seemed unrealistic, unreal.
What?
I know.
That's exactly what my therapy sessions are like, a little bit.
Mine aren't.
Okay.
Mine aren't. She's just mean to me. She's just horrible.
She's a bully.
She's a bully.
I don't think so. It's just that D-type personality being told what to do equals bullying.
Yeah. She told me today that I have a choice. I'm like, oh, that gives me so much freedom. That makes me so happy. She said that's why I said it. But she says your expectations or whatever, you have a choice with everything. I'm like, I do.
It's true.
It was like, I know. But remember that throughout your life as a child, you are given or taken choice away from you. And then if you don't have any money, you can't buy the house that you want, no choice. And if you can't get the job that you want, no choice. And your children and your parents say you can't do this, no choice. So, and I'm D-type personality. And if you say no, I hear, do you want to fight?
Mm.
So when she said that I have choice, I'm like, oh my God, I'm nearly 50 and I've got choice. So yeah, it was quite nice.
And we're going to go see the kids this weekend.
We are. Tomorrow we're going to go see both sets of children separately. Weirdly.
So we are in line with government guidelines.
So we're having lunch with Devon and a garden centre visit and a walk with Jordan and Jenwin at Wimbledon Common to see the Wombles. I did a live last night.
Did you?
And I said, we're going to Wimbledon Common to see the Wombles. And
people not know what they were?
Not everybody.
I think it's an age thing now, isn't it?
Who was it that said, well, obviously Jenwin didn't know who the Wombles were because she's not from this country. As a child, it's the staple, but I don't know when it stopped being on the TV.
I think it may still be on the TV, but not in the same way that we watch it.
I loved the Wombles. And then every time we used to go and visit my grandparents who lived in London, we'd go to Wimbledon Common to try and find the Wombles. I'm so excited just to go to Wimbledon Common to see the Wombles. John, I'm not excited to see the children at all.
What was the last time you were at Wimbledon Common then? How old was you?
I think I was probably about, I don't know, 7?
Gosh.
8?
20
9.
years ago then?
Yeah. 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah, my therapist also told me that I have got the heart of a 19-year-old. My attitude is like a 19-year-old. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take that too. She was really nice to me today.
She wasn't bullying?
She wasn't horrible at all. I think you should just listen in. She is sometimes really horrible.
I don't think she is. I think she's just honest. How does that feel when, someone's brutally honest?
Well, no, I'm fine with people being brutally honest, but when they're mean with it, when they say things like, I can't even think what she said. What did she say one time?
The last session you had, you came out and she said she's been mean. She said, I feel bullied.
We have the same therapist. So obviously she's different with you.
She favours me, I think, by the sounds of things.
She does.
I don't think she's mean at all. I just think she's honest. I think that you're just conflicting because it's a couple of home truths she may say to you and you take that as...
But I'm already perfect.
Again, D-type personality. Yes, you are perfect. In my eyes, you are absolutely perfect.
So,
But, you know, you're seeing a therapist.
that's habit. Don't really need to see one. It's my comfort blanket.
Yeah.
I know, but you know what? We all have to we have our crosses to bear.
I know. And my nail's fallen off.
What? They don't care.
Well, people
They don't care.
Listen, the genre that I
Listen,
write in.
Right,
this is what people want to know. This.
That are listening and not watching this, I'm pushing his arm away because he's sticking it in my face.
It's my nail fell off this morning.
Let me
somewhere. I'm not sure where.
Let me show you. Right, and those nail technicians that are watching, yes, curl your toes because that's exactly how I feel. But this is what he does, okay? And I'm going to try and describe it for the podcast listeners. So he's giving me a drink, either a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And as he gives it to me in his left hand, which is where his dodgy finger is,
right hand.
Oh, is it? Sorry, his right hand. He puts his finger out because he doesn't want to touch the cup. And as he gives it to me, the first thing I see is his finger. Like he's like, here's your tea. And I see his finger. I don't see the tea. And I see the nail because his finger is sticking out in front of it. Do you do that on purpose?
I don't. I didn't realise I was doing it.
Yeah, a couple of times I've looked up and said, oh.
It does look horrible. Like when I realised my nail had fallen off, I literally had to hold on to the table. I was sat down as well. I had to hold on to the table.
He texted me and said, oh my God, my nail's fallen off. And I went, ooh, don't show me. Because that would be the next act. I can imagine that was your next post.
I took a photo. It was waiting.
No. I don't want. I am a nail technician.
You've got to stick something over that.
Not yet. It's way too early to do that. Yes.
If it be sore.
Oh no, we don't. It's not going to stick to skin, and that's essentially what there is. I need nail. I can't work on anything. I'm a nail technician, not a skin technician.
So it'll take a while then.
Mm-hmm. But when it starts to split or when it starts to catch, I can do something with that. Fingers crossed, none of that happens, and it just grows out nicely.
It comes out like this, like perfectly flat.
Yeah,
beautiful.
and then you can thank your surgeons for that. We'll buy them a box of chocolates.
Miss Sharman, she doesn't eat that much.
Huh?
She doesn't eat really.
Flowers then.
Flowers.
Drinks? Does she drink?
Yeah, for sure.
We'll buy a bottle of Coke. I think ultimately though, it'll be fine. It looks good. Your nail bed looks brilliant, shaped really well. You know, it's perfect proportions. You just hope that the nail bed is flat. That's all. Is it flat?
No. It's gonna come out looking like it's been melted.
Like a gnarly old man's
I have to
thumbnail.
file the top of it off because it's too Anyway. Reason why we didn't do the podcast last week was
just change the subject, really.
Yeah, let's change the subject. So, because there was a royal funeral and we had to watch that. Well, I did anyway.
We didn't have to do anything because remember we've got choices, babe.
I chose to watch the royal funeral.
I chose not to.
to.
Not because I'm not a royalist, and I was desperately sad. And every time I came in to the living room, it made me feel a little emotional.
Did it?
Yeah, I was sad for the Queen. I was sad for the family, and the things you don't realise the things that people have done over the years because they've done things so slowly.
Right.
It's like these tiny little sands that make up one huge beach.
Yes, absolutely. He was patron to 400 different charities.
Crazy. And I didn't know any of that. I just knew about the Duke of Edinburgh Award. But
Incredible.
yeah, he amazing. And then of course what he, as a soldier as well. So I think I was thankful that he was part of us, even though he was a bit of a dick sometimes. But he was an old man. Sorry, old men. Out there. But you all turn into a dick.
We do, yeah. we don't like incompetence.
Impatience.
Impatience,
Yeah,
incompetence.
you become impatient and immovable, stubborn, incontinent.
Incontinent.
Eventually.
Something to look forward to, babes.
Yes, I'll be gone by then.
That'll be Jordan and Jenwin's problem.
They have a medical background, that'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
One of us is going to be incontinent.
Why?
Well, because isn't that the way it goes? But the chances are it's me, because I've had your children.
Yeah, but by the time we get to that age, things would have moved on.
Nappies would have got bigger.
No, like when you have an excision of your anus. What? You end up having to poo in a bag because you have no muscle.
Incontinent means wee-wee, right?
Well, it depends. You can be
I was
fecally
thinking
or
wee.
urinary.
I was thinking just like dribbling wee-wees.
Oh, okay.
Like tiny little, oh, my pants are wet.
Yeah, that can be sorted too.
Yeah, well, it can be sorted now. I mean, that would be nice. I'll just sign up for that one, because I could do with that now.
Got to wait for the court case. There's a court case happening at the moment, and the guy that invented it, the mesh dude from Bristol.
I thought that was for hernias.
No, it was for rectopexes, which is that kind of all those slings and.
By the time that's sorted, we'll be able to afford it.
Yeah. But anyway, things would have moved on by then. We'll have the research and development into surgical techniques and devices is fascinating. Well, I find it fascinating anyway.
Lovely.
Yeah. There's one where
Great, you tell us all about it.
Well, no, magnets in the anus. So the magnets come together and create a sphincter.
Well, how does it open again then?
Well, as you go, you have that muscle control, and then it obviously opens as you poo, and then as the poo leaves, the magnets close again.
Oh, that's clever.
Very
clever.
Like
a ring?
It's a ring of magnets, yeah. And it's sewn in.
How amazing. I wonder if you can feel that.
No, you won't be able to feel it. There will be no nerves attached to it. But
you should be able to feel the skin move as it pulls together.
Well, I guess. I don't know, really.
If I was to pull my skin, I could feel my movement.
Yeah, but I saw the nerves are very different down there. Very different sort of sensations and feelings. So I'm not sure. I don't know. It's a while off yet. I've seen a computer generated video of some bloke having a poo. These magnets opening.
Do you feel slightly ashamed when you admit to watching that?
No, because it's
Do you like a little bit where you're thinking, shouldn't actually admit that out loud? Just a tiny bit.
Well, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the environment, the people that you're with,
But the general public or the people listening to this podcast, which are quite a lot now, aren't necessarily medically minded.
No, they're not medically minded.
They may well be thinking that I am truly married to a weirdo.
There's a thing called a Douglas chair, which is a...
oh my God. Do you know what I had in my mind?
What?
No, I'm not going to say.
It's basically a chair you sit on and you get MRI'd whilst you're having a poo.
What do you mean? Like, how does it do that?
Well, it goes down, so it follows the bowel movement as it empties.
Okay, like, say, can you imagine doing that? Can you imagine I could go for a poo anywhere, but could you imagine going for a poo in that environment? Right, Mr. Biddle, sit down on this Douglas chair. It's quite time tough. For a poo.
It's quite a tough call because there's 3 people watching.
I could go for a poo.
You have a laxative to help things chivvy things along.
No, you see, that I couldn't do because then I'm out of control.
It's not the actual, it's not the result of it. What they need to see is the muscles working around as it's doing its thing. I've seen it a couple of times. It's a bit weird, I have to say. Most of them are little old ladies and they don't really care. But I think I would.
Do you know when we started this podcast, I always say, So what are we going to talk about today? And we ran through the fact that we were going to go to London and that we would talk about the funeral. At no point did we even discuss the fact that we were talking about feces and poo.
It's evolved, doesn't it? And we've hit our 15-minute threshold.
Thank God. Okay. All right. Well, nice.
So we'll hit the book then.
Oh, yes. So the last chapter was all about Alex in therapy.
It was.
And the chapter before we met Yongi and
Jamal.
Jamal.
And Yongi's little sidekick, Errol. Remember the Zulu without a tongue?
Has he not got a tongue?
I've told you, no, he has a tongue. Oh, maybe I've ruined that.
He just didn't speak.
He's got no tongue.
Why hasn't he got a
He's had
tongue?
it cut out.
Why?
Well, 'cause that's what they do to like Zulus when, you know, if they've done something wrong, they'll cut your hand off or cut your tongue out.
How do you know that? About Zulus, I mean.
Well, it's quite common in Rwanda with the Tutsis. And,
God, can you imagine life without a tongue?
hmm.
Like, how would you eat?
You can eat.
You can't.
I've done surgery where we've removed the entire tongue.
Why? Was it?
Cancer.
Do they have like a fake tongue? Do they have an implant put in? What are you laughing at?
Where from? Love honey. A fake tongue.
No, like when you have somebody else's eyes and heart.
No,
You can't have
nothing.
somebody else's tongue.
Nothing. You have to learn to swallow again. Get peg fed for a while till you figure out how to swallow.
How do you? You actually can't.
No, your tongue is part of that mechanism, so you've got to learn how to do it again. If you take part of the pharyngeal airway away as well, because when you swallow, the mechanism, you've got to think of the vernacular, which is like a flap. So your tongue is sat there.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat, that muscle pulls that vernacular shuts off your airway, and then it goes down your esophagus. Right?
Yeah.
So if you remove the superior part of that away, you actually can't. You've lost that mechanism. So the way in which you're fed is directly into your stomach.
Permanently.
Permanently, yeah. It's peg feeding.
So, can people actually swallow without their tongue then?
They can with physio. And it takes a while to figure it out.
But they can't talk.
Yeah, they can. They have a microphone here.
Right. So
your voice box is here, yeah. So it mimics that.
That's very clever, though. That is be genius. I know that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's to me, out of there are many medical wonderfulnesses, but that to me is pretty awesome that you can actually speak without your mouth. I know you can sign and all of that stuff.
Well, no, it's when you say speak, it's not normal speak. It's it's like trying to converse with someone who's profoundly deaf.
Communicate then.
Yeah, so there is a way you can communicate. It's not easy. It's a long way to learn. And a lot of people that have this kind of treatment are generally it's an older person. So teaching that old man who's a bit stubborn and a bit trying to teach him how to swallow and things like that, they don't do very well generally. The worst one I've done where we've actually removed the whole bottom jaw, all of that part of the throat out, and just sewn it up.
Oh dear me! It's just it makes you count your blessings to what you all the little things that are wrong with us. We're like, well, okay, then that's fine. At least we can still see. It was only yesterday. I was thinking there was a lady. It was a couple, an elderly couple, walking up the street up from Waitrose. We were driving back from the docks, and she was blind. I assume she was blind. She had a white stick with a ball in the end.
She was blind. Blind.
And he just had his hand within her arm, and I was thinking, gosh, I mean, one, it was so lovely. The whole scene itself was lovely, seeing it, but then it makes you start thinking, I wonder what I would prefer, not being able to walk or move very well, or to go blind, to have the ability to move and no pain, or to go blind.
And what did you come up with?
I would rather have what I have now and be able to see, because my life is about colour and art.
You see colour in a way that I don't know anybody sees colour.
It's quite normal for me, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, that's what I mean. You see colour in the way that no other person sees colour. In my experience, and the people that I know of, they don't see things the way that you see the world. The way you see the world is very, very different. You know, the way you see colour is you know, I'd love to be able to see the world like that. I just don't. You see about 10 different blues in a blue sky. I see one, maybe two. When a cloud, you notice clouds in a way that, you know, you see clouds and you think, if I painted that, people would think it was fake.
Yes.
They just look like clouds to me. Until you see the beauty in the clouds and the shadows that it creates and the folds and all that, you don't appreciate that beauty.
But do you see it when I point it out?
Not necessarily, no. When you go, oh, such and such. The one that blew me away is that you wanted to paint our wall wheat. Wheat, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's beige, isn't it?
No.
Exactly.
It's not. But so that was what would, you know, I would rather have the inability to move or the pain than I would, you know, I'd rather live with that and I would rather see.
Yeah. I think losing sight is not an easy thing to overcome.
No, I think
when you're born with sight and you've lived a life seeing things, to then not be able to see the things that you love and stuff is quite tough. I think that's quite a difficult thing. I could lose my hearing, I could lose my taste.
Well, you say that, but then to lose, if then you turn around to me and say, what would you lose, your sight or your hearing? I would then choose my sight over my hearing.
Why?
Because it's a very lonely world, I think, if you can't hear. If you only have... Imagine if I was sat there and you walked in, I wouldn't have been able to hear you. I'd have sensed you walking in, but I wouldn't have been able to hear you walk in. Would never be able to hear your voice. We would never have a conversation. I'd be able to see you and we'd be able to sign. You know, so it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, you know, to lose one of your senses after you've had it, I think is...
But you do compensate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I would never be unhappy with anything. I'm so grateful for what I have, and I will be so grateful for what I have if I didn't have something, you know. That didn't make sense at all, but I know what I mean.
I know what you meant.
So yeah, but no, that was, I don't even, how did we get onto that subject?
No.
Okay, I think we should crack on.
Let's hit the book. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
Okay, so this is chapter 3 of Hypnos. Jamal had been driving for some hours. The back of the van was cluttered and dirty. See, that's a bit of an oxymoron because he's not driving, he's in the boot of the van. He's in the back of the van.
Jamal is the
hacker.
One that was the hacker, yeah.
The back of the van was cluttered and dirty with no lights whatsoever. The constant fight against the urge to throw up was palpable. His mind was racing and the pain was travelling up his arm. He gingerly touched his ruined digits. Remember, his hand was in a vice and he knocked them off with a hammer.
You see, I'm a bit of a denier when it comes to things like that. So if I've got some digits that were dangling, well, I would literally ignore them.
I've seen a dude actually pull his finger off.
Where?
In ED.
Whoa, was he high?
No, he was. It was hanging just by the skin down here.
What the fuck?
And the surgeons were like, it's going to take about 20 hours to reimplant it, and then you're going to need about 8 months of physio. And he was like, just cut it off. And they were like, we'd like to reimplant it. So we just went,
Jesus,
just sew it up.
Was he a farmer?
It was a builder.
Did it hurt? Did he go, ah?
No, it was just all... I remember the snap.
Jesus.
like an elastic band.
We could have used some scissors or something. I mean, like, what the hell? That's actually made me go really funny. My knees have gone really funny. Ooh.
The
Okay.
things I get to see. Anyway.
Yeah.
The weird shapes through the rough bandaging made him feel even worse.
Oh, he was bandaged?
He would be bleeding, wouldn't he? He reflected on the past few weeks. After the initial experiments with the software, he had posted the evidence on the dark web and had received a few offers. The entrepreneur in him saw a market with the software. He would hire out its capabilities to the highest bidder, making the payments and processes all incognito. A South African man had been in touch a few days earlier and insisted that they was to meet. The guy wanted to do things with the software that would make a lot of money fast, but he wasn't prepared to do the whole transaction anonymously. A meet was required with a taster of 500 grand deposited in the bank. Jamal thought this was someone who could be trusted, so made the arrangement. Remember what they say, you can't con an honest man.
You can't con it. Well, and also, that money, if he didn't have that money, you wouldn't have met him.
Exactly. Little did Jamal know that he'd become a target, and on the day before the scheduled meet, both Jongy and Errol knocked at the door. 4 hours later, his entire world was boxed up, thrown into a van, people murdered in front of him, and he was trying desperately to keep his smashed hand up.
People, his parents.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. And trying to keep his hand up off the grubby van floor. There was a constant taste of blood in the back of his mouth. His tongue explored the inside of his mouth. 2 of his bottom teeth were loosed. He winced, then weirdly, although it hurt, kept probing the wobbly teeth.
I know, right?
Causing him more pain.
I do that with bruises. I love a bruise, a good bruise.
You do, and you like pressing my bruises too.
Yeah, but it doesn't give me any satisfaction.
It doesn't, so you keep pressing harder and harder.
It just makes it nice and brown.
He realised that the pain in his mouth was less searing than the pain in his hand, so he kept pushing around his swollen gums. The van turned and the road surface changed from smooth tarmac to something bumpy. The odd slosh and crunch of gravel told Jamal that they were now off the beaten track, and the journey would soon come to an end.
That's very good.
What's that?
Well, the odd slosh and crunchy gravel is, you understand that, you hear that, but how did you get to write that? Like, I wouldn't. I know I art.
Mm-hmm.
You write, so I get that I see things differently to you would, but how did you think to write that? Like, I
don't know what you mean.
Well, I would never even consider writing that down. I would just assume, as a D-type personality, the road got bumpy. That was all the information you needed, because if I was reading it, I would fill in the blanks.
Right.
But of course not. That's stupid. That's not why I read a book. I want that description. I want to feel the slosh and the bump.
Crunch.
So how did you...
I don't know. I suppose I live sitting in the back of the van with him. I see it. I see the journey. Feel it.
It's amazing. That's truly amazing. It's brilliant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where were we anyway? He had a feeling that he wasn't going to die.
What?
His knowledge was too important. He had protected the data with his own set of encryptions, making him the only person who could operate the program. He still had the trump card, although knowing how cold-blooded and sadistic Jongy and Errol were, he knew he was going to be in for some more pain. True enough, the brakes made a squeal as the van came to a stop. It slid on a bit of gravel on the gravel surface, and the door clicked open in unison and then thumped shut, the springs of the van causing it to rock. The back door opened. "Hey man, I thought you'd have thrown up by now," Jongy said. He grabbed him by the collar and Jamal snapped it back. "Why'd you have to keep pulling me about? Where the hell am I going to?"
He sounds ever so posh.
No. "You have a fair point, I guess. Old habits die hard, eh?" Jongy said, and then launched himself at Jamal, grabbing him by the throat. His breath was fetid. A bit of jerky stuck to his teeth. "Don't you ever second-guess me again. Think that your millennium bullshit works here. You are fucking 2 steps away of having your brain shot out, eh?" Jamal looked at him, fighting the urge to capitulate, but he knew he still had the trump card. Will you fuck? I don't dance to the tune of a monkey. Take me to your organ grinder. Cunt! Jongi snapped his head forward, headbutting Jamal in the face, reopening the previous injuries and knocking him clean out. Jongi dropped him on the van floor.
Does that hurt when you do that?
What, when you headbutt someone? It does hurt, yeah.
Why would you do that then?
Because it hurts the other person a lot more.
How do you know that?
Because I've headbutted someone.
Yeah, but how, did you say, did that hurt you really badly? Because it hurt me.
No, you went to the floor.
But why would it hurt them? Oh, yeah.
I was wearing a helmet as well.
Okay, well, that's stupid. Who said that it hurts them more than it hurts you?
I don't know.
Where is that law?
I don't know.
I think it's a stupid man thing.
No, because this is the strongest part of the brain of the cranium.
Yeah, and you're hitting the strongest part of the cranium.
No. Here, if you hit on the bridge of the nose, what you don't want to do is hit the teeth. Because if you hit someone in the teeth, it then causes an infection and a massive abscess. Because all the germs go into the skin. You want to hit the bridge of the nose to snap it.
Oh God! This is making me weak.
Where are we anyway? Here we go.
The end.
Jongi dropped him on the van floor, his unconscious body lying awkwardly against the van's side. His mangled hand was too tempting, and Jongi stamped on it. Disrespectful! Jamal stirred. The pain invaded his senses, and his hand was horribly blue and the fingers pointing in different directions. Jongi got out of the van. Errol stood by the back, enjoying the view of the Cambridgeshire countryside. Spring had sprung in March, so green he thought. Errol, don't just stand there, eh? Get the boy out the back and get the bastard in the house. Then empty the van, get set up in the garage, and I'll go speak to the boss. A smartly dressed man was walking across the courtyard in a grey fitted suit, blonde hair, mid-40s, 6'5". The back row kind of guy with hands like shovels. So his back row is like a rugby player, so he's really tall as well as big.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, your kind. Jongi, hey, how's it going? His South African accent was even stronger than Jongi's. I can't get any stronger than I'm already doing, I'm sorry. Mr. Van Herzen, things got a little heated. My apologies, The Keffer accidentally killed his mother and then we had to dispatch the father. We brought the boy and all his belongings. How did the mother die? Accidentally, when her head was being taken off. When you are going to stop defending this incompetent Keffer, get rid of him. He's a liability to you. Which makes you a liability to me, eh? Jongi Jongi was looking at the floor. He had no defence. Errol was stupid, but he still felt responsible for him. Errol was helping Jamal out of the van and Van Housen clocked him. And holy fuckadoo, how the fuck did you get the boy in that state?
Fuckadoo.
God, a South African mate, that's all he says.
Really?
Hey, fuckadoo.
I like that, fuckadoo. Holy fuckadoo. Can we use that? Can you remind me to use that tomorrow? Holy fuckadoo. That doesn't sound right with me.
How did the boy get in that state? I said no drama. He walked over to Jamal, his face grisly and ghastly. His hand wrecked. He's going to need a doctor. How will that happen? Van Housen shook his head. You're both a pair of monkeys. Seriously, the money I pay you, I deserve better. Jongi swallowed. He hated being disappointed. Errol looked at the view again. He didn't give a shit. Jamal was helped to the house. The smell of a family home, and not the van, filled his nose. The kitchen was modern, high-end. He was helped to a seat at the table. Van Housen took the seat opposite. Welcome. I must first apologise to you for your treatment at the hands of my... He paused. What?
So if he had gone round Van Housen, it might have ended up very differently. Why didn't he just pay for the fucking software?
Because he doesn't want to pay for it.
Oh, so he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He seems okay.
Yeah, well, okay. He paused. My associates. Jamal dropped his head, the clotted, gelatinous string of blood hanging from his mouth. Why? I'm so sorry, Van Housen said. Why did you bring me here? For the right price, I would have driven here myself and done whatever you wanted me to do. Right now, your associates have killed my parents and messed me up. The only thing you have to do for me now is dig a shallow grave once I give up the software. You can go, Van Housen said to Jongi. Jongi practically clicked his heels, nodded his head and strode out of the kitchen. his head still down. Jamal's eyes watched the feet leave. They have their purpose, Van Housen said, getting up. He opened the fridge and removed some food and a bottle of soda. You need to eat, eh? He placed the food in front of Jamal and retook his seat opposite. I accept your points about what has occurred, and I have already apologised. That will be the last time that I apologise to you. Van Housen pursed his lips and reached into his laptop. Opening it, he scrolled. I've done my homework on you, Jamal. You're an interesting character.
You're English now.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to do South African. Did you want me to carry on?
I was enjoying it.
I've done my homework on you, Jamal. You're an interesting character. The criminal world go-to guy for anything that requires a computer, which, in today's world, literally means anything. The most interesting thing about you is that your parents died when you were young. He stopped and glanced at Jamal. Those people my associates killed weren't your parents. He returned to the screen.
You're so posh.
You bounced from foster home to foster home and had a difficult childhood, yet you excelled in anything related to science. A gifted genius, and thanks to the criminal underworld, you turned to crime to make your money. I get the people that you were living with fronted as your parents because you've been spinning a dark web in the physical world as well as the digital world. Am I in your ballpark? Van Housen asked. He left it hanging there in the air. Jamal thought for a moment. How the hell did he get all that information?
How did he?
Exactly. He's got me. But I still have the trump card. His silence told Van Housen he was right. He closed the lid of the laptop. Talk to me about the software. Is it true? Van Housen asked. I'm not saying a word until I have concessions and demands made. Just so you're aware, the software can't run without me. I protected the algorithm. How? Jamal laughed. You're right. I live in spun webs of deceit and sleight of hand. I knew the commercial value of this software to people like you, which is why I've ensured my safety. Tell me. Jamal picked up some food, placed it in his mouth. His lips were barely able to separate to get the morsel in. But the bigger problem was the chewing. Jamal winced. Van Housen winced as well. We need to get you a doctor to tend to your wounds. I know a man. That man being a bona fide medical professional, Jamal asked. Of course. Tell me about your encryption. Van Housen pushed. Jamal knew that Van Housen needed to know to keep him alive. Zhong Yinarrow would snuff him out at the earliest opportunity, telling him everything that was going to be in Jamal's best interest. The software had been deleted from the digital vault in the CIA. There was no way to hide that, so they will be looking. How does that impact me? Van Housen asked. Well, if you do something silly like make 1 million people run down Pall Mall naked, they'll get a whiff of it. Digitally, it doesn't exist. No one will find it. Only the outside has the potential for it to be discovered. You say that you're the only one that can operate it. How is that? What's stopping us from getting my people just to copy you and then get rid of you? Which I know was your thinking, eh? Van Housen leaned forward. I have bioencrypted everything. Even my keyboard for each keystroke will work by fingerprint recognition. My voice and facial movements are tracked by a camera that will only allow me to access the software, while biometric feedback is sent to the remote server, bouncing back the facial movements to confirm recognition. My heart is also monitored. Constant EKG readings are a physiological fingerprint. We all have different cardiac signatures. Jamal took a sip from the soda.
Is that real?
True.
So you can do all... No, not the ECG thing. The whole... So if I was on this computer, I could have it set up so that it would only... Oh, that's clever. Why does computers not do that now?
It's expensive.
I reckon that will be the future.
Yeah, well.
That you only get the computer to work with you.
Retinal scanning will be standard in a few years. So your webcam will take a retina scan and it will know who you are.
Well, the new laptops are now, face recognition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So exciting. For Apple, that is.
Jamal took a sip from the soda. The hint of cold, sore throat, fluctuations in normal body temperature. My heart rate, if it's different, the software will shut down. The user will then have 10 minutes to biometrically log back in. this doesn't happen, then my
So
location.
if his heart rate's high,
If anything changes within the biometrics, they've got 10 minutes. He will get logged out, and you've got 10 minutes to log back in. And if he doesn't,
so if somebody's over his shoulder going and he gets flustered,
yeah,
he doesn't want to be watching porn then, does he?
I don't think he cares. He's not that sort of good dude. But do you know what? You know, it's quite normal for kids that age to be watching porn now.
What, and not have a flustery heart?
No, they're so desensitized to it now. Anyway, here we go. If this doesn't happen, then my location, the location of the software, everything the software has done to date will be uploaded to the authorities and every single social media site on the planet. Van Housen pondered. He nodded. That makes us business partners then. He stopped there. Jamal considered what Van Housen said. I want 10% of whatever scam you're running, no negotiation. Van Housen leaned in further, bringing his hands up to his chin in deep thought. And if I don't accept your terms, Van Housen said. Jamal leaned forward on his damaged hand, and the wrist still had his wristwatch on. He held his arm out. The pain was excruciating, and the fingers were sickeningly disfigured. With his good hand, he hit the screen, and the watch beeped and vibrated. What have you done? Van Housen asked, suddenly becoming worried. You have 5 minutes. The CIA will be contacted by automation as well as the police of this location, which would include the content of the software as well. If you check your cloud storage files, they'll be littered with child porn. Van Housen
How did he do that?
Van Housen picked up his smartphone and started scrolling. Even if they can't charge you with a software infringement, because no doubt none of you are clever enough to have hacked it, and of course you will have already killed me in a fit of rage, but every person in your contacts, including any social media as well as the police, will now know you're a paedophile. Jamal took another sip from the soda. Which means in this country you will face a minimum of 10 years at Her Majesty's pleasure. The realisation of what Jamal had done shot across Van Housen's face, and Johnny came running in.
I like Jamal.
Boss, fucking hell, eh?
What?
He exclaimed, holding out his phone. Very good, Van Housen said, scrolling through the thousands of porn images on his phone. Very good. Tick fucking tock, Mr. Van Housen, Jamal said. Johnny clocked the attitude and was about to deal with it. Stop, Johnny. Johnny stopped with a look of amazement. Jamal, you have to deal. You have a deal. 12%, I guarantee. Jamal thought. 2% extra. Always the entrepreneur. In the legit street, he would have been devastating, but this deal was about to become sweeter. Now it's your turn to tell me your plan, Jamal said. Van Housen leaned back and thought for a moment. What I'm about to tell you breaks national security, eh? My employer is a high-ranking government official who needs to be, at this point, kept secret. Van Housen stood, walked to the fridge, pulled out a soda for himself, opened it and drank some. He belched violently.
This is all still while the clock is ticking.
Yeah,
I'm getting a little anxious about this clock ticking. Like it's 5 minutes. That's not a lot. You don't have time to go to the fridge. Like, can you imagine if we went to the fridge now and then necked a can of soda?
I know, right?
That's at least 2 minutes.
Heartburn, he said. So he's burped really loudly. You need to drink milk, Jamal asked. Van Housen paused, considered his comments and sat back down. I need to know what I'm getting into, Jamal asked. He took some food, and then the pain slightly easing. Either the pain was getting better or he felt stronger because he understood the position he was in. I will need to speak to my employer first. You might suspect that this room is rigged with microphones and cameras. He motioned around the room. I did think about that, and can we consider that your employer is now my employer? Jamal asked. Van Housen thought. He nodded. I shall return in the morning. Can I make sure that you don't give Johnny and Errol any bother? He said while getting up. As long as they keep their distance and that they go and get me a pizza for my dinner. Johnny stiffened. Yes? Make sure that Jamal's needs are met, and please do not make him feel uncomfortable. Of course, Mr. Van Housen. Johnny shot a glance at Jamal. He smiled back at him, making his piss boil inside. First, we need that doctor to come here and take care of you, Van Housen said.
Did he press the button?
Yeah, I think he has, babes.
Oh, right, okay, because I'm getting anxious about that.
Who were those people that Laurel and Hardy killed? Van Housen asked. Jamal took some more food. They were nobodies, people I hired. Okay. People I hired for a front. I live. You're right, my life is a tangled web. That's how I like to keep it. Johnny stepped forward. What is it, Johnny? Van Housen asked. Where is the boy sleeping? He'll sleep in the house, Zhongy. Where did you think he was going to sleep, eh? Zhongy contemplated for a second. Wouldn't he be better off in the garage, boss? Under lock and key, eh? He's not a prisoner, Zhongy. Your methods of bringing him to me were suspect, to say the least. Van Helsing looked at Jamal. He'll be no trouble with you. He'll be no trouble, will you? Jamal nodded. Go and get that doctor.
That was a good chapter, but I have questions.
Go on then.
So the front of Jamal's parents, what front is that? Do we know later?
Well, no, it's just it looks like they're like a suburban family living in London. He's...
Just so that he could hide from the police.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was just a young kid in a flat on his own, and then right, okay.
He's like I think he's 20, 21. He's really young.
So why would you need that?
Well, he just needs that front, so it looks like he's living this sensible life, and he's living in this sort of leafy suburb in London, and there's a nice house, and he's got professional parents, and do you know what I mean? It's just a front. That's all it is.
And like, could he do all that with the? That was very clever of Jamal to do all that.
Well, he's not. You know, he deals in the criminal underworld, so he will have protected himself immediately.
But why did he go meet them then? Well, he didn't, I guess.
Well, he was taken, wasn't he? And that's what threw him. He was taken. So he's been forced into this situation. Mm. And his own suspicions is that he did the right thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know?
Did we know at the beginning what was taken?
Yeah, it's a software program.
I can't remember. That was like 4 weeks ago.
It's Hypnos. The pro software is called Hypnos.
And that is where you can upload something to somebody's brain if they're like watching a program or playing a game.
Yeah.
And then it's like hypnotizing them.
Yeah, and it's actually an actual cerebral software program that goes into the brain.
Cool.
Through digital ones and zeros. Very clever.
It's amazing.
Mm.
Well, that was it.
So that's chapter 3 of Hypnos.
Wonderful. Thank you.
It. So that's it, really. I think we need to go, really, because it's 47 minutes.
Oh, let's just rush off. Let's just read and dash. Dine and dash. No, read and dash.
Read and dash.
But yeah, well,
read and rush.
Read and rush. Read and rush away.
Because
we've got shit to do.
We have.
We got loads to do. I've got to film some more lessons for my course, and then I've got a live tonight.
I've got to edit this thing.
So that's it. I think we should go. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, don't forget, Criminal Club's been rebranded.
Oh, I can't believe we're not talking about that. Criminal Club has been rebranded to
Murder Monthly.
Murder Monthly.
And here is the video.
Did you like it?
Did you like the video? Click the link in the show notes, get more information, and sign up.
Yeah, this is it's growing, progressing. It's one of those beautiful little subscriptions that will just give you a little bit of crime with your coffee each month.
So if you're killing time, you want to kill some time. Is that Devon or Beth came up with that?
I don't know. The coffee in the crime and coffee was Devon, but I don't know about the killing time. I thought that you came up with that.
No, I think it was Beth.
They're very clever.
Very clever.
So that's it. We'll say goodbye. Don't forget, don't judge a book by its cover.
And stay frosty.
Bye, guys.
Bye.